I am chairwoman of the Black Educators Caucus, and we are gathered here today, and we've had you all gathered here today for what we consider to be an urgent call to action. We believe that the health of Milwaukee Public Schools is in serious need of repair. I would like to thank the organizations who signed on to our press release, Leaders Igniting Transformation, MICA, MKE, Anti-Racist Restorative White Educators, RWE, ComForce, MKE, African American Roundtable. We really appreciate all of their support, because this isn't just a problem for people who work in Milwaukee Public Schools or students who attend Milwaukee Public Schools. This is a problem for our entire community. First up, you are going to hear from Debbie Keither. She is currently on leave from work, but she worked in the Department of Curriculum and Instruction. So she's going to talk a little bit today about the culture that exists in Milwaukee Public Schools.
Thank you. So one thing that we know from the evidence that has been uncovered through a lot of the discovery process that I've been involved in the legal realm, is that this board and this administration is full aware of the severity of not being a safe environment. They perpetuate behaviors that protect individuals in their own administration, that they have full knowledge and awareness and all the tools that they can to execute and make a safer environment, yet they choose to avoid taking accountability for that. They are evasive. They pretend not to hear our stories. We have been direct with them. We have been factual. And if they would just use the policies and the laws that they author and that govern their jurisdiction, we could actually make a difference for making Milwaukee Public Schools community a safer place. But they refuse to do that time after time, and it is exhausting. And they leave the women and the employees and the children of this city to fend for themselves when it comes to our personal safety and the ability to get an education in this system. So I'm glad that we're moving forward, and this culture needs to be broken. It's a long-standing culture here, right here in this building where I work. It's there. And this house needs to be broken, and we need to start getting new faces in here to do the work that needs to be done for our city.
Thank you so much for that, Debbie. I want to share with you all, a veteran educator sent me an email. They didn't want to be identified, but they wanted to share their story. And so it says, as a veteran educator in the NPS district, I would like to see more safety protocols, procedures, and supports put in place within the district in response to violent assaults against students and staff members. I was viciously assaulted by a student along with 3 of my colleagues that has left me traumatized. This educator shared with me that she was forced to take family medical leave. Her leave was unpaid. She also had to pay for her own insurance while she was off of work. No therapy services were offered to her, and this is what a lot of educators face when they are dealing with an assault by a student or a parent. And so I want to share my comments with you all. On Wednesday, November 9th, I was violently attacked by a parent while I was doing bus duty, and unfortunately the traumatic event that happened to me isn't an isolated event. Staff and students have shared countless stories with me about being threatened or attacked by parents and other students. These threats and attacks are making staff and students feel unsafe in a district where safety is labeled as a priority. I would argue that it may be time to reframe our conversation about safety and talk about overall school health. I would take it a step further and say the external conditions around our schools and in our students' backgrounds and homes and communities strongly define the level of health and safety in our schools. Today, I would ask district administration and school board members, how healthy are Milwaukee Public Schools? What about those staff and students in our highest need schools in zip codes that are historically under-resourced? How do they feel about the health of their schools or the capacity to create healthy, safe, and welcoming environments for all? A healthy and supportive school environment helps students develop the skills they need to recognize and manage emotions, set and achieve positive goals, appreciate the perspectives of others, establish and maintain positive relationships, and make responsible decisions. A healthy and supportive school environment provides staff with resources, support, and professional learning opportunities to help students develop those skills and create positive academic outcomes. It is time for the district to address the health of our schools by first holding a special board meeting where school culture, climate, health, and safety is on the agenda. Then we need to create a plan that improves the health of our schools, a plan that keeps staff and students safe so that what happened to me and countless others never happen again. And I'm not going to leave today without providing solutions that I think are so important that the district enact. Number one, we need district-wide professional learning starting at the top, meaning Keith Posley needs to attend professional developments about restorative practices, trauma-informed care, and creating healthy, safe school environments, because if he doesn't understand what that means, how is the rest of the district going to understand what that means? We need to expand trauma supports and mental health resources and make them available in all schools, not just in select schools. We need to immediately hire a restorative practices director for that department. We need to add school culture, climate, and health and safety of our schools as a monthly agenda item in the PACE committee meetings. Board members should participate in monthly discussions with students on school culture, climate, health, and safety. And we need to create policies and procedures for internal harm, safety issues in school buildings, and develop a protocol for parent interactions during and after the school day. What happens when there is parent-to-parent harm, or parent-to-student harm, or parent-to-teacher harm? There are no policies or protocols in place for these types of things. And finally, we need to create a culture of care, meaning that we need to let go of punitive discipline practices and create an environment where students feel like they are cared for. And I'm open to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, Angie.
So what we've seen is the trauma that is happening in our community is now pouring onto our school campuses. So we have people, young people, who are stealing cars, and they're bringing them back to school campuses, joyriding around the school building, even sometimes onto the school property. And so what we're talking about is when we have a community that is so deeply traumatized, there's nothing else that's going to happen besides that trauma coming into our school buildings. And so we need to think about what we're doing to help our students through that trauma.
Was there a recent event that triggered this press conference today, or was it kind of a culmination, just a build-up over the past few years that we've seen so far in the new year?
Yes, so I don't want to make this about me, but I was attacked by a parent on Wednesday, November 9th. I was violently attacked during the school day doing bus duty. And so the district's response to my attack is kind of what spurned this press conference today, because I don't want what happened to me to happen to any other teacher. And the only way that we're going to stop this from happening is by addressing the culture, climate, and safety that exists within our NPS schools.
Can you give us an idea of how the district responded? What brings you to the verge of tears and saying it?
So I was attacked on November 9th. On November 17th, I sent a letter to the district outlining what I thought led to my attack, and what I think leads to attacks in a lot of other buildings. And the district's response was basically, oh, we followed up with your school principal. She said all XYZ. The issue is resolved in our book. If you feel like you need any more assistance, please contact our EAP program. So I was not provided with any other support outside of contact your employee assistance program.
And as an educator, what does that mean to you when that's all you get?
If I can't feel safe in my classroom or in my school, how can I be an effective teacher? If I don't feel valued by my district, why would I want to continue to work for them? And we're talking about this during a time where there's an extreme teacher shortage. And if teachers can't feel safe going into the classrooms, they're not going to want to go into the classrooms.
Then can you tell us what was
there is a culture in our school buildings and in our district, I think that Debbie spoke to it, where our problems are supposed to be kept private, or it's very difficult to talk to school administrators about things like school safety, about things like the culture in the school building without facing some sort of retaliation or being ostracized by your principal. We like to say that we are NPS proud, but that's just a performance, because what are we actually proud of? What are we actually doing well? What are we actually doing to benefit and help our students and improve their outcomes?
You have some of the solutions. Have you brought that to the board or to people yourself? And have you fell on deaf ears? Have you feel like they're taking what you're saying seriously?
No, I do not feel like the board is taking what I'm saying seriously. All of these solutions that I provided to you today, I provided in the letter that I wrote on November 17th. And the response by the board basically was like they did a safety study and that was that. But we haven't heard from community members, from staff or students since 2012 about the school culture, climate, and safety in our buildings. And in 2012, it was spurned by 4 students within a week's time that were murdered by gun violence. Well, since that time, in 2022, we have 15 students that were victims of gun violence. We've had issues with joyriding of stolen cars on school property. We've had teachers who have been threatened or viciously attacked. I think it's time for the community to have a voice about what school culture, climate, safety, and the health of our school buildings should look like moving forward.
You mentioned you'd like to see kind of like the punitive nature towards students go away. Why? What change do you think that would bring?
Well, what we've learned with discipline disproportionality is that punitive punishment doesn't stop children from misbehaving. And so when children, number one, have the social and emotional skills that they need to work through problems, they're less likely to commit those behavior issues. And so this is about giving the students the tools that they need to be successful and whole children, right? Like, we don't want to push them out of schools. We want children to be in our schools and to be in our classrooms, and we want them to be able to be there to get the education that they need. And the only way that they can do that is by having access to the mental health resources and supports that they need and that I'm not licensed for.
What happens if they don't move forward or to make any changes? What happens? Does that cause more teachers to probably look elsewhere? Does that cause a crumble of the entire institution?
That is certainly a possibility, but we're not going to talk about what happens if they don't, because we're here today to make sure that they do. We are here today to make sure that they do. This is the time to change it. This is why this is a call to action, not just for Milwaukee Public School teachers. This is a call to action for our community, because as our school goes, our community goes. If we want to see a whole, functioning, positive community, it starts in these doors.
Lastly, for me, what's next? Where do we go from here?
Well, right now we're going to walk in this board meeting at 5:30, and we're going to put some of these concerns on the record. We're going to continue to put pressure on the district to hold a special board meeting, so please continue to be looking out on our page for those calls to action, to send emails, to contact board members. And also keep in mind, it is about to be school board election season, and so they have no choice but to hear and listen to our demands for more safe and healthy schools.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I just want to thank everybody for attending. Thank you all so much for showing up and for covering this very important issue. Thank you. Dr. Martin.
Thank you very much.